Beirut, January 1963. A hotel room. Two men who have been friends for 30 years sit across from each other in silence. Nicholas Elliott has just told Kim Philby that the evidence is conclusive, that it is over, that there is no point denying it anymore. Philby looks at the man who spent a decade defending him to colleagues, to superiors, to investigators, the man who staked his entire career on his innocence, and he confesses. 3 days later, Philby is gone, vanished into the night on a Soviet freighter. The British government confirms what it has suspected for years. Their most trusted intelligence officer was Moscow's most valuable asset. He had been inside MI6 for 23 years. Hundreds of agents were dead because of him. Every secret Britain had, the Soviets had first, and nobody had seen it coming, not once. This is the story of how that was possible, and it starts not in a hotel room in Beirut, but on a park bench in London 30 years earlier, with a 22-year-old Cambridge graduate and a very quiet conversation that changed the Cold War forever. Cambridge University, spring. A young man sits on a bench in Regent's Park, London. His name is Harold Adrian Russell Philby. Everyone calls him Kim, after the boy spy in the Rudyard Kipling novel. He is 22 years old, the son of a celebrated British diplomat, educated at Westminster School, a Cambridge graduate. He speaks fluent German. He has impeccable manners, a slight stammer that makes him seem thoughtful rather than nervous, and the kind of easy confidence that only comes from never having wanted for anything. He is exactly the type of man the British establishment is built to trust. He is waiting on this bench because a Soviet spy master asked him to be here. The man who sits down beside him introduces himself only as Otto. His real name is Arnold Deutsch, an Austrian communist operating deep cover in London under the pretense of studying psychology. Otto looks at the young man beside him and sees everything the Soviet Union has been looking for: connections, access, a future, and most importantly, a burning, privately held belief that the British Empire is a rotting structure that deserves to fall. Otto tells him that a man like Kim Philby, with his education and his family name and his path into the British establishment, could do more for the communist cause than 1,000 party members on the street. Philby listens. Then he agrees. He is 22 years old. He will spend the next 29 years destroying everything he just agreed to protect. He is not alone. In the same years, 4 other Cambridge men are recruited by the same Soviet network: Guy Burgess, Donald MacLean, Anthony Blunt, John Cairncross. 5 men from the most elite university in Britain. 5 men who will penetrate every major institution of British state security simultaneously. History will call them the Cambridge Five. But in 1934, on a bench in Regent's Park, they are just a young man and a handler making a very quiet agreement. Otto's first instruction is simple: break off all contact with your communist friends immediately, completely. If you want to penetrate the British establishment, you cannot look like the thing you are. Philby nods, goes home, severs every visible tie to the left. He will spend the next decade building a reputation as a reliable, thoroughly establishment Englishman. The disguise will be so convincing that even his closest friends will refuse to believe the truth when it is finally placed directly in front of them. This is how you build a mole. Not with money, not with blackmail, with belief. He genuinely thought Britain deserved to be undermined. That conviction, that ideological certainty, is what makes him so extraordinarily dangerous. A spy who believes in nothing can be bought back. A spy who believes in everything cannot be stopped. In 1940, on the recommendation of his friend and fellow Cambridge spy, Guy Burgess, Kim Philby is recruited into MI6. British intelligence hires him without the faintest idea that they are letting the fox into the henhouse. He is charming, well-connected, excellent under pressure. Every evening for the next several years, Philby walks out of MI6 headquarters carrying a briefcase full of the most sensitive documents in British intelligence. He hands the briefcase to his Soviet contact. The documents are photographed overnight. The following morning, Philby returns them to the archive before anyone notices they were gone. 900 documents, 900 times. Nobody suspects a thing. By the end of World War II, Kim Philby is not just inside MI6, he is rising through it, promotion after promotion, trusted with operations that would determine the outcome of the Cold War, before the Cold War even had a name. And every operation he touches, he destroys quietly from the inside. Philby is appointed first secretary to the British Embassy in Washington. The role makes him the chief liaison officer between British intelligence and the newly formed CIA. He is now the single most important conduit between the two most powerful intelligence services in the Western world. Everything the Americans share with the British passes through Kim Philby. Everything the British share with the Americans passes through Kim Philby. And everything that passes through Kim Philby passes to Moscow. The CIA never knew. The KGB could not believe their luck. Their mole was not just inside MI6. He was the bridge between MI6 and the CIA. For 3 years, the Soviet Union reads American and British intelligence simultaneously, in real time, because one man with a Cambridge accent and a briefcase is handing it to them every night. Then, Philby makes his first move that costs lives directly. The CIA and MI6 devise a plan to send armed anti-communist fighters into Albania to destabilize the Soviet-backed government there. Hundreds of men, trained, equipped, inserted. The operation is classified at the highest level. Philby is briefed on every detail. He forwards every detail to Moscow. The Albanian fighters land on the beach and walk directly into ambushes. Every insertion, every team, captured or killed. The operation is annihilated completely. The men who planned it could not understand how. The Soviets knew every drop zone, every contact, every safe house. The investigation found no leak. Kim Philby sat in his Washington office and filed his reports and attended his dinner parties, and no one looked at him twice. Cracks are forming. 1951. American intelligence intercepts coded communications between the Soviet embassy and an asset inside the British Foreign Office. The messages are slowly decoded. They point unmistakably to Donald Maclean, one of the Cambridge Five, now a senior Foreign Office diplomat. Philby is informed of the investigation. He immediately tips off Guy Burgess, who is living with him in Washington at the time. Burgess gets word to Maclean. Both men vanish. They surface 5 years later at a Moscow press conference. The British establishment is humiliated, and the investigation that was supposed to catch Maclean now turns its attention to the man who might have warned him, Kim Philby. The third man, Philby, is recalled to London, questioned. He denies everything. He is calm, articulate, convincing. He stammers slightly when nervous, which makes him seem genuine rather than evasive. There is suspicion, but no proof. He is officially cleared. He returns to intelligence work. He is too useful to lose and too well liked to seriously suspect. This is the thing about Kim Philby that makes the story almost unbearable. He was investigated. His closest friend in MI6, Nicholas Elliott, a man who had known Philby for decades, staked his professional reputation on Philby's innocence. Elliott argued privately that the accusations were absurd, that Kim was one of them, that anyone who had spent 5 minutes with the man would know he was incapable of this. He was wrong, and his loyalty bought Philby another decade. A KGB officer named Anatoly Golitsyn defects to the West. He brings information about Soviet penetration of British intelligence, fragmentary, partial, but pointing in one direction. There is a mole, high level, long-serving. The investigation reopens. The timing of certain leaks, the pattern of failed operations, the Albanian disaster, the warning to Maclean. Every thread leads back to the same name. Nicholas Elliott is sent to Beirut, January 1963. Philby is working there as a journalist. Elliott has been his friend for 30 years, defended him to colleagues, to superiors, to investigators. He walks into the hotel room and faces the man he spent a decade protecting. 2 English gentlemen, quiet, almost civilized. Elliott tells him the evidence is conclusive. No point denying it. Philby looks at his oldest friend and confesses, partially, carefully. 3 days later, he is gone. A Soviet freighter, Beirut Harbor, darkness. On July 30th, 1963, the Soviet Union announces political asylum for Kim Philby. The British government confirms it. 23 years inside MI6. The damage is incalculable. Every agent he knew about, every operation, every source, every network, compromised or destroyed. The Albanian fighters who walked into ambushes, the defectors handed back, the sources who disappeared. They never knew his name. They just died. In Moscow, the life he sacrificed everything for was not what he expected. House arrest for 7 years, ignored, frozen out. The KGB did not entirely trust a man who had betrayed his own country once. He was given no rank, no office, no real role. His wife said he tried to drink himself to death. He spent his final years training junior KGB recruits. A ghost. A journalist asked him in 1988, the year he died, whether he would do it all again. He answered immediately, absolutely. Nicholas Elliott never recovered. He had been the man who vouched for the traitor, whose friendship bought Philby years of continued access. In Beirut, he reportedly told Philby directly, "I once looked up to you, Kim. My God, how I despise you now." He never found a satisfying answer to how he had been deceived so completely for so long, because there isn't one. Kim Philby was simply better at this than anyone around him, not just a spy. The most convincing version of the thing he was pretending to be. The perfect Englishman, loyal, charming, trustworthy, the kind of man you stake your career on without hesitation, the kind of man who lets you do exactly that and feels nothing. He died in Moscow in May 1988. His face appeared on a Soviet commemorative stamp. The country he spent 30 years betraying gave him a state funeral. The photograph on that stamp still exists. A man in late middle age, gray at the temples, a slight smile. He looks like a retired diplomat. He looks like a man who served his country faithfully. He looks exactly like what he was pretending to be, right to the end.